In large measure, it worked, and by the early 2000s, countries were congratulating themselves for having won the war. It all seemed part of a paradigm in which governments recognized the power of free markets and free trade. Thomas Friedman used the metaphor of the golden straitjacket to explain what happened. Governments placed themselves in a situation where their policy options were tightly constrained by markets, and as a result, their politics shrank, but their economies grew. Over the last few years, it has seemed as though the opposite is happening almost everywhere. Look at Turkey, which by the 2000s had become a model developing country, taming inflation and spurring growth. Its policymakers were lauded across the world. Today, Turkey's president has abandoned even the pretense of rational economic policy, using that policy to reward friends and punish foes, and advocating monetary policy that is the opposite of what most experts believe would work. Chile, which was considered the most fiscally prudent country in Latin America, now appears to have taken a path toward a more familiar left-wing populism. Or consider the poster child of developing countries, China, where economic growth was the North Star of policymaking. Today, Xi Jinping pursues policies that often attack the private sector in key growth areas like technology. As the scholar Elizabeth Economy has pointed out, it is China, not America, that began the move to decouple the two countries' economies and embraced protectionism and economic nationalism when Xi announced his Made in China strategy. India, for its part, has mirrored this with its own protectionism and subsidies. The Western world has followed suit. Driven by an understandable concern about middle-class wages and inequality, economic policy is no longer oriented toward growth. Tariffs, subsidies, and relief packages all reflect the fact that politics has trumped economics. Central banks everywhere have rushed in over the last decade to take extreme measures in response to the two big shocks of the age, the financial crisis and the pandemic. As Ruchir Sharma notes, in the mid-1990s, not one country in the world had a debt-to-GDP ratio of 300%. Today, 25 countries have exceeded this mark. Now, the old obsession with economics over politics was overdone. It achieved great successes, but it created other problems, such as wage stagnation. But the current emphasis of politics over economics seems more dangerous. It allows politicians to engage in patronage policies, protectionism, and short-term gimmicks to prevent ordinary people from feeling the pain of a crisis. Therefore, one wonders